Hello Year 8, how are you doing? I hope you're keeping well, and more importantly, I hope you're coding. Right, I'm just going to go through today's exercises because one student asked me to do that. So student F asked me to go through these exercises. So here I'm on REPL.IT. One or two people do say, oh, when I go to REPL.IT something goes wrong. You need to refresh it or maybe use a different web browser. I use Chrome for this. And you need to check your syntax. I had one person who sent me an image and the syntax was totally wrong. So you need to check your syntax when it goes widescreen. So I've got Year 8 Python, 27th April 2020. And I'm going to click inside that. I'm going to go to the first assignment I've got, which is bigger than, task 1 bigger than. If I click on that, I can now see it says, create a program that asks for an integer. If the integer is greater than 10, print too high, otherwise print accepted. Okay, and then it says put your code here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get user input, okay, as usual. And so it's asking for an integer, so it's just a number, so I'm just going to say num equals int input. Okay, so I've cast that value straight away, so the data type is an integer. I could now run that just to test that it does something, but it doesn't really do a lot because there's no print statement or anything there. So here I've got an if statement, and this if statement will, that's a selection, remember, the selection the programming structure. Yeah. And that means it might run a bit of code, it might not, depending upon whether the test is true or false. So what's the test? If num is greater than 10, so greater than is that symbol there, and 10, and then the colon. So if it's greater than 10, print too high. Okay, so I need to go print brackets, and I need to type it exactly the way it's done in the question, otherwise it won't work. So I've done that much so far, and I might run that again just to test it, and I'll type 5. If I type 5, nothing, and that's fair enough, because is num greater than 10? No, so it wouldn't do that. I'll run it again, and then I'll put in 11. Oh, 11, too high. Excellent, so that works. The next part was otherwise print accepted. When it says otherwise, that's a bit like saying else. So I'll press enter, I'll press backspace delete, else, colon, print accepted with a capital A. Okay, and that's done. So I'm going to run that again. I'm just running it myself just now. I'm going to run it with 5, accepted. I'm going to run it again with 12, too high. I'm going to run it again with 10, which is the value where it should, if number is greater than 10, well, it's not greater than 10, you should say accepted. So accepted. Okay, and then finally I can run the tests. Remember I said last time, sometimes these tests go wrong for a bit and you just run them again. Close, that worked. Then I'll click on submit, and it's worked. So that one's worked. Okay, so that one's all good, and that's an example of selection, getting the number. And remember, we would normally have a prompt in here, but we don't have one today because we're using REPL.IT. If the number is greater than 10, do something, otherwise do something else. And this is a selection statement based on an if. Now I'm going to go back to the classroom, and that says that's completed. I better refresh that. So it'll unlock task 2 for me. And now I've got task 2, count to a value. Okay, so with this one here, it's already got this bit of code that we had before, so that's kind of useful. So at least that way you can see exactly how it should have been. Yeah, get the user input, num equals int input. Then you've got some really nice comments in here. If the number is bigger than 10, error message. Otherwise, print a message say the number is okay, accepted. And then it says insert your code here. Okay, so what we're doing here, add code to the program so it will print out the numbers from 0 up to the number entered. Okay, so we're inside here and we're going to print out from 0 up to, for example, the number 10. Okay, so for I in range, so it's a for statement. Okay, and then here it says from 0, so we start at 0. 0 is the starting point, and then on here I'm going to type num for a second. Okay, and then I'm going to do a colon and do print print I. I'm going to run that. I'm going to type in the number 10. Okay, press enter, and it's gone from 0 to 9. Now it says here add code to the program so it will print out the numbers from 0 up to the number entered. Well, it's not done that, and it's not done that because it starts at the start, but it stops. It's stop -1. With a for loop, it never gets to the stop condition. So it goes from 0 up to, but not including num. So if we wanted to type, if we wanted num to come out, we would have to go +1. Okay, and that's the best way of doing it there. I'm going to run that again. Oops. No, there's nothing wrong with that, so I'm going to click stop. I'm going to run that again. Did you see then there was a mistake? I don't know what it was, but I've just run it again. I'm going to type 10 in, and this time it's gone from 0 right to 10. Yeah, I'll just remind you. So if I loop here, I'm going to run it again with a smaller number. Yeah, I'm going to type 3, and there it went from 0, prints out 0 because I is 0. Then I is 1 because the step is 1. Start, stop, step. Step is 1 by default. So step isn't on here, it'd be comma, step. So it goes 0, prints out 0. 1, prints out 1. It could have been doing anything in here, but that's what it does. 2, prints out 2. 3, prints out 3. It doesn't get to 4, yeah, and there you go, that's that done. So now I can submit that, and it's run all the tests, and that's worked. And I'll finally submit it for marking, and that's okay. All good. So that's 2 tasks done, and you'll notice that those tasks, one sort of led into the next. It was an if statement, then it was a for loop within the if statement. Now get a name. This one is a really similar task, but the difference is we're asking for somebody's name. Get the user to enter their first name. If they enter a name that's less than 3 characters long, print error. Otherwise, print accepted. Okay, so as always, you should be commenting your code up. Okay, so get username. Okay, name equals input. It's not an integer this time, so it's input. If we were doing this in the class, it'd be something like, please enter your name. Yeah, but with REPL.IT we can't do that, so it's just an input statement like that. Okay, here I'm just going to test that works for a second. Okay, and I'll print out name. And here I'm just going to type somebody's name. In fact, I think I'm going to type Finley. Okay, and it's printed out the name Finley there, so that's fine. I know that works. I'm going to get rid of that bit now. It was just for testing. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is, it says here, if they enter a name that's less than 3 characters long. Okay, so the thing that we're going to do is we're going to work out how long the thing is. Now Finley's 6 characters long. Okay, oops, hang on, that's wrong. Okay, so yeah, it went on to something else then. We went on to my running stuff. Right, okay, so Finley is 6 characters long. So I'm going to call something length. I could have called it L, but you won't see it so well. Length is equal to len name. Okay, and here I'm going to just go print out name, length, just to prove that it works. And if I run that again, if I run it now and I type in somebody's name like Finley, yeah, it prints out the number 6. If I do it again, and if I type somebody else's name like Jane, 4. So you can see that works, and we really needed that. Okay, now we're going to have an if statement. If length is less than 3 characters long, print error. Okay, and I'm just going to test that now. So if I run that, if I type Joe, error. Okay, if I type it now, type my name, Craig, then there's no error. I need to get rid of this testing print statement now because it's not part of the program. It would cause it to crash. And now we can do an else statement, else print, and it wants accepted again. So accepted. Okay, and I'll run that again. And here I'm going to run it. I'm going to run it with something that definitely fails. Error, good. I'm going to run it again with something that should pass. Joe, accepted. And that's a borderline test there because it's testing the number 3. Okay, and that's accepted. So that should work. I could run the tests before I submit them, and they all work. Now I'm going to submit it. And that's fine. So that's task number 3 done. 3 out of 4 done. The next task will build upon that as well. But the next task is slightly more difficult, okay? Because it involves going backwards. It's a countdown. So on this one here, once again, you can see that I've got the task that we did last time. Now the interesting thing here is, when I did this last time, I didn't bother making a variable called length. I just said if len name is less than 3. And that's fine. Yeah, I just did it like that when I showed you a second ago, just to show you a different way of doing it. Both are the same, really. What's it asking for here? Add code after the accepted print statement, so it's right there. I've got my cursor in the correct place, which will count down from the number based on the user's name length to the number 0, including the 0. Remember, the for loop can have a start, a stop, and a step. So here I'm going to go for I in range. Now I know I always use I, it doesn't have to be I. And then it's the start is the length of name, so I'm going to have to type length of name, and that's where it might be nice to have had that variable. And down to 0, yeah. And I'm going to show you a common mistake now, but I'm going to do print I. This isn't the mistake. Print I, so that's what we want. And I'm going to run that, and I'm going to run it with my name, Craig, and I'd expect it to go 543210, but it hasn't. It's just typed out accepted. Okay, so it hasn't done that because this loop goes up the way. Okay, so it wouldn't do anything. I need to go. The step is -1, and if I run that now, hopefully it might start going 543210. I'm going to type my name in again. 54321, but there's no 0, but I've got to have a 0. Okay, and that's because if you want 0 to be the stop, you need to go past that stop. So you need to go to -1, otherwise it won't get to the 0. Okay, and I'm going to do that again. Here we go. 543210. I'm going to run the tests to make sure I've got it right. I'm going to submit that. Okay, and that's all done, and that's the 4 tasks for today. Please don't just go through them and copy me. Try and have a go by yourself. And more than that, you should have a look at other problems that you can find, or if you can think of any other problems similar to these. Okay, you can do loads of problems like these, and you could do them on REPL.IT by yourself, or better still, you could do it on Python Idle. I hope you're keeping well, and that's me signing out for today. Bye bye.